Hello, Sunny Hill. This is Thomas. Greetings from Berlin. Hope you are doing well. Today we're going to look at the book of Daniel, especially the chapter 1 of the book. And I want to give you some facts to set the scene, a bit of background. So Daniel and 3 of his friends were taken captive into Babylon in the first wave of deportations from the kingdom of Judah. He was of the noble house of Judah, same as his friends, and he was taken to Babylon as commanded by the emperor of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. So Daniel was a contemporary of the prophet Jeremiah. He knew about the prophecies that the southern kingdom would be taken from the promised land and would be deported and taken into Babylon for 70 years. So Daniel was chosen amongst many of the nobles and others, together with his 3 friends, because he was well learned, educated, and he was deemed to be able to stand before the king and emperor of Babylon. We read in chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. The ESV says, "Then the king commanded Ashpenaz, the chief eunuch, to bring some of the people of Israel, both of the royal family and of the nobility, youth without blemish, of good appearance, and skillful in wisdom, endowed with knowledge, understanding, learning, and competent to stand in the king's palace, and to teach them the literature and language of the Chaldeans. The king assigned them a daily portion of food that the king ate and of the wine that he drank. They were to be educated for 3 years, and at the end of that time they were to stand before the king." So, what does it mean to us? I think that's a message also especially for our next generation, young people who still find their way in and their purpose in this life. You may feel, especially when you are a believer, that you have a special purpose, a calling from God, but there's also a pull in this world for you to earn your living, look after family, look after people, care for others in need, and you may not know or understand what God has planned for you. So this is quite encouraging because it shows that even in the most difficult situations, God has your back. He supports you. So what do we read in the verses 17 to 20 of the chapter? It says here, "As for these youth, God gave them learning and skill in all literature and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. At the end of the time when the king had commanded that they should be brought in, the chief of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king spoke with them, and among all of them was none found like Daniel, Hananiah, Michael, and Azariah. Therefore they stood before the king. And in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters that were in all of his kingdom. And Daniel was there until the first year of King Cyrus." So here we see that Daniel and his friends were gifted by God, and they found a purpose to stand before the king. They were given a position and a place where they were meant to be. So God has a place for you, especially when you're young in the Lord. You may not know what your plans are, your purpose are, but God will reveal it in time, and you will find your footing, especially when you seek him for all wisdom. Now, the king had a lot of meat, a lot of good food, which he deemed wise and good for them to eat. But Daniel and his friends didn't choose just any food. They wanted the food which God deemed good for them. And that's the same with our youth nowadays. Are you choosing what the devil is putting on the table for you? All the music and learning and science and whatever which they have, or will you learn the music and the science and the learnings and understanding and wisdom which God has prepared for you? What are you choosing?